enjoy these stream of consciousness videos. Helps me get things out of my brain and into the world. So I think yesterday was kind of a good starting point, and need to start drilling down a little bit more. So I've been really just trying to think of more ways to prepare for the SHTF, and then what that's going to look like with baby in tow. It's not going to be easy, because not only are you going to be carrying your bug out bag with your bug out supplies, you're going to have to put baby's bug out supplies and food and needs and necessities in there as well. And you're going to have to carry 20-25 pounds of wiggling weight. So my thoughts on the matter are essentially that if we are going to get to that point where we do have to head to our second BOL, bug out location, the bug out plan would include more frequent stops, because we're gonna have to. It's almost impossible to feed a baby while you're sitting down. I can't imagine trying to feed a baby while being on the move. There might be some sort of scenario where we put together some kind of wagon and I pull while mom lays in the cart with baby. It's a possibility. But more frequent stops means a slower trip. And I don't know how slow that trip would be. For me, alone, 10 to 12 miles a day wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't enjoy it, but I can do a 3.3 mile hike in about 25 to 30 minutes at a brisk pace with elevation changes. But when you load me down with a bug out bag or a get home bag or a get to the farm bag and a baby, I don't know how long that's going to take. That's going to take probably half that off. You're probably now looking at 5 to 7 miles in total, and that's because it's only going to be probably 2 miles to 2.5 miles, and then stopping, feeding baby. That's going to be an ordeal in itself. And then hitting the road again and getting another 2 to 2.5 miles, because with those 2 to 2.5 miles is going to have to be plenty of rests, stops with water breaks, readjustments, swapping things around, handing baby off to spouse, etc. We'll see how it goes if it ever happens. I don't know if it's something that we could even practice, given the length and the distance from bugging in to the bug out location. I have no idea how to even try to prep and plan for that, but we should try. And that's one of the goals of this journey that I'm going on with you now, is that we're embarking on, is that journey of learning what it takes to become better at prepping. Because I think that there are a lot of so-called experts on the YouTube channels, and don't get me wrong, they are very knowledgeable, and a lot of the advice that I follow is an amalgamation of their videos, but you have to think that they have a target audience and they've gotten used to a certain amount of clicks and revenue and ad revenue that they have to maintain, so they have to get on and keep making content in order to meet that standard and that quota and give their subscribers new content, which is great. And I hope to learn from that and be somebody who is always helping new people take that first step, whether that be into investing and their health and wellness and their mental health, and then this little journey of prepping. I think that there's things that we can do to stay 90% better than everyone else. If you simply go to the gym 3 times a week, or exercise in some form or fashion 3 times a week, you're doing better than 90% of Americans. And it shows. If you go to the gym and you spend any amount of time in the gym, and I'm talking a couple of months, to get into a new mindset, to get into that new habit, then you will see that you are in much better shape than most of the rest of the United States population. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world. I know that when I lived in Europe, they're not so big on gyms and weightlifting as we are here in the US. They're more of a holistic health, cardio and athleticness and athletic fitness and the whole mentality around that. And it was a healthy mental shift for me as well, because I had spent too much time focusing on my body image. I think America breeds a certain level of, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but there's a certain level of self-awareness that is perpetuated by our media and our popular media, essentially, in our culture. It's like our movie and TV culture, our Hollywood culture, that we have to always look the best, be the skinniest. In my era, it's the Instagram lifestyles of the Instagram moms who everything is just amazing, and just it's so true that there's Instagram reality is a popular subreddit, and you don't get to see the dark underbelly, as it were. There's a balance to everything. Having a degree in finance and having gone through accounting classes has given me a perspective on life of the balance sheet. There's an asset and a liability and a retained earning in everything if you look for it. If you don't know to look for it, it's not apparent. But if you're gonna make a certain choice, whether or not to something as simple as to get up and go to work that day, go to the gym that day, skip the donuts and for breakfast, do a short intermittent fast for a couple of hours, eat a salad as opposed to the breadsticks, and take the bottom bun off your fast food burger, just to name a few examples, they're gonna pay off at some point. That's a liability in a way that becomes an asset in another way. Oh, boo-hoo, I don't get to have the bottom bun to my delicious, cheap, manufactured almost fast food burger. Or, man, I really love those buttery breadsticks with that fake, super processed butter that comes at the restaurant. And I have to eat this, let's be honest, not so great salad. I mean, if we're eating a salad with iceberg lettuce, it's not going to be as good as eating a mixed green salad. But, hey, one step at a time. If you got to eat that iceberg lettuce salad over the breadsticks to get started, then so be it. But I'm telling you, the sooner that you gain an appreciation for kale and spinach and your other delicious leafy greens, the happier you're gonna be. You're gonna feel the difference after a while, and then you're gonna come to crave spinach and kale and healthy food, and your complexion's gonna get better, and the pounds and the weight are gonna melt off, and then you're not gonna be hungry all the time, and you're not gonna be tired all the time. And it's like going to work out. I've had a big life change recently, and this is something that I talked on in the last episode, was having a baby, having a child. It's given me new perspective in the way that I was always this person with the mentality of, oh, like when I have a kid, I'll still go to the gym. I'm never going to miss a workout. I'm not going to let that be an excuse. And that changes when you do have a kid. Now it's like, oh, I'm going to go home and I'm going to run hills in the backyard so I can be home when wife and baby get home. Or I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm not going to spend an insane amount of time. I'm going to do just the exercises I know I need to do. And if we ever did want to dive into the details of working out one day, absolutely, I would love to. I would love to tell my story about how I got to where I'm at, the effort it takes, because it does take a lot of effort. It's like anything in life. When I started my financial company, when I started my first company, it took a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice with internships and unpaid or commission-based jobs and a lot of risk. And with just like with starting a business and working out, it's like launching a rocket. 90% of the fuel is used up launching it. Everything else, you're really just coasting. So 90% of your effort is going to be in the first part of working out and establishing that habit of going to the gym, because you're really going to have to work at it for years and years and years and years. And that's what I had to do when I started my company. Or when I started working out and I lost 80 pounds. And then at one point you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I lost 93 pounds over the course of 6 years. I have striations in my shoulders now. Now I don't look like that anymore because I found another career that I love, and I've gotten into other hobbies, and I've had a child, and I've come to learn that spending time with my loved ones and my family is more important than anything. But that doesn't change that mental fortitude that you gain by sacrificing that 90%. You got to, I just made this up, you got to sacrifice the 90% now to be better than 90% later. That's a play on another quote that you might know the man who said it. You got to live like no one else so that you can live like no one else. That might be from him. It might not be. He might have taken it from someone else. He kind of tends to do that. If you know who I'm talking about. Things are changing, brother. Things are changing. Your advice. I think it's going to start hurting people. But hey, That's not for me to say. I will say, though, that prepping with baby, working out, having a fatter wallet, I watched one of my so cringe-worthy first Patreon videos, and that's another thing I want to do. I do want to start focusing on getting at least 1 or 2 Patreon videos out and sticking to that schedule on these drives home, on these drive homes. And what I want to do is I want to have at least once a week, I pick 2 or 3 tickers, maybe 5, a certain amount of stock picks or mutual fund or ETF picks that I think are good or bad, and kind of look into some of the analyst ratings or kind of see what the market sentiment is and tell you my view on it. And hopefully we can grow a subscriber base enough so that we have people suggesting things and then I can look into them. Like one recently, I can't say it. I cannot say it on a YouTube video, but if I said it on a Patreon video where you're paying me for it, I can talk about it. But there were a couple of new ones that I was turned on to for one of my clients, and I definitely think that right now it's a good time to review portfolios for a lot of people with a lot of the changing market conditions out there. And if we got to a point where I was doing a video like that once a week, I think that would be fantastic. And then we could even, we could grow it in such a great way. Super excited, changing directions once again, starting a little bit of an aquaponics setup at home. So we'll see how that goes. It's very not pretty right now. Very not pretty. I think we're going to keep it pretty simple, though. I think it's just going to be kind of a decorative aquarium. I'm thinking of guppies. I think guppies would be a lot of fun. Do the guppies have the plants being started in the top, and I got my plant light, and then I got some like those clay rocks that are porous that hold the bacteria that help the plants grow. Got those got delivered today, so I'm excited to get that started. And we're just gonna see what happens, see what we can grow, see what we can get started. I think bok choy seems to be one of the only ways to get my leafy green vegetables. It doesn't look like I can do a whole lot of kale or spinach or anything like that, but again, I'm still learning. That would be the ultimate way to do it, is leafy green vegetables. Yeah. So that is something else that I'm delving into. It's really tough to think about how to bring it all together. When you're doing this SHTF planning and getting ready for what could happen, you don't want it to. There's part of you that's like, doesn't want to admit it, because I have been drinking from a fire hose with it, with watching all the YouTube gurus and certain books that I've started to read, like this one. I can't promote it. I'm not going to promote it. Or other books, and just kind of skimming over it and looking at it, and it's drinking from a fire hose. And so prioritizing all of that is becoming a little bit of a mess in my head. And that's okay. I know that we got to stick to building up 3 months food supply first and foremost. But what good is that going to do if we don't have something to defend it with, or if we don't have a backup plan if we have to trade it or whatever, you know. There's all kinds of different situations that can happen, and I am kind of approaching it the same way that I approach building my portfolio. This is just how I'm approaching it. It could be very wrong. I'm not a very methodical step-by-step person. I'm a top-down, like a city builder, like a Sim City style builder. Like I gotta start a bunch of little ones at once and then grow them over time. So the way that I approach building a portfolio is I'm gonna pick several investments like crypto. That's really the only one I can talk about. I would say that I have a lot of good dividend blue chip stocks. I'm just going to try to think before I speak and be as vague as possible. Dividend payers, blue chips, energy companies. Maybe I can name sectors. Energy companies. But then your mid caps as well. Your mid cap stocks are fantastic. And then you want to look at maybe taking a small base, 1 to 5%, and being incredibly risky into things like, well, startups, essentially, or penny stocks that you think might run or be some sort of pump and dump if you're a little bit more active into what you keep an eye on. So it's the bell curve of investing. I tend to focus on one little area, but then you got the tertiaries are what you want to grow on the side. And so I think with prepping as well, you've got your main areas of focus, which are going to be on your defensive side. All of it's defensive in a way, but like your food storage, but like then your offensive side of like your bushcraft, maybe bushcraft, your offensive side of what happens when you do need to actually leave the home, and in our case, make it to another location that's going to be more plenty, where things are, where things are not as bad and or good, and that's just where you're wanting to get to after you've exhausted your current location. So I would say that if you focus on that, your food and water storage, and then your well-rounded skills, and I don't want to say your attack skills, but if you think of like defense, offense, classic examples that they use in portfolio building of, good portfolio is like a good well-rounded football team. You got your defense and your offense, and approaching it from the same angle. Yeah, take a sip of water. And no, I'm not pausing it. You're not getting any fancy editing yet. Maybe one day someone will clean this all up. But that day is not today, but it will be at some point. You guys are going to get it raw dog style. You're going to just talk and upload it. Uncensored, unfiltered. I was thinking about it kind of in passing. I did used to do this thing on my Facebook back when I was strictly a financial advisor with a big box firm. We'll leave that name out. For those of you who know my past, you know what that company was. And I called it Climbing the Hill with Dave, because my last name, we're climbing the hill, we're making it to the top, one step at a time. Well, this is going to be one of those in a similar vein, but man, oh man, I am not the kind of person who can be like, rah, let's do this all the time. I had to be when I was in sales like that. But man, people appreciate you much more if you don't have a quota to meet and you can just talk real talk to them. I've gotten more clients doing what I do now having a regular 9 to 5, very stable, but also keeping professional and keeping up to date on the market and my licenses, just talking to people. People know that I'm not going to be worrying about making a house payment or putting food in my mouth and my children's mouth if I don't sell them or make them a client. And it has been so freeing, and I've seen my business grow so much just on that alone. And I combine those two real quick. There's so much more on the way. Doing this career change has been amazing. In fact, I wouldn't even be thinking about this whole prepping, preparedness. I wouldn't even have the confidence to open a book about bushcraft or go out and try to start a fire without a lighter or matches. And I've done that now. Done it. I know how to do it. It's a really good feeling. So if anybody out there is like really, really just getting started, yeah, do something like that. That's one of the lines. It's like one of the first things in the first paragraph of the first chapter after the preface. The first quarter of the book is about fire, I think. It's probably like the first eighth of the book. But I mean, as soon as in our history that humans mastered fire, things got good and gooder. If you can master fire and you know how to start it without a lighter, you're gonna be okay. And that is important because you can keep wild animals away, yada yada yada, all the stuff. All that eighth of a chapter just flashed in front of my eyes, and I wanted to try to talk about it, but I'm not gonna, because I'm almost at the gym and it's almost time to work out, and it's been tough. I'm not gonna lie. If y'all have any advice about being a new dad and making it to the gym, sticking to it, let me know. I have been so tired all the time. Oh, just saying that makes me more tired. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make it. And I'm gonna feel better. And I'm gonna be happy I did it. 90%. Love that. 90%. Everything's 90%. Because like after you make it past that 90%, you're good. Think about it like this. Another 90% fun little math. Is it 90% of the battle is showing up when it comes to working out? 90% of losing weight is mental. 8% of the rest is diet. The last 2% is going to the gym. Going to the gym, 90% of getting to the gym is getting there and showing up. So there's another little thing about, the first 100K of investing is the hardest. It is the hardest to get to 100K. Well, let's do 90%. 90% of 100,000. 90,000. So once you get to that first 90% of 100,000, you got 90,000. And if you're doing decent enough and you're taking just the right amount of risk, in today's economy, yes, today, December 21st, 2021, the world's ending. Inflation. No, I hear you, but no, that is exactly why you should be investing. Inflation is why you should have your money in blue chip, dividend paying stocks and tech stocks and Silicon Valley stocks and ETFs, and not under your bed, in your backyard, or in bullets. I know bullets are going to be worth a lot if the end of the world as we know it happens, but let me wrap up and put a nice little bow on this before I get to the gym, because I'm almost there. And I don't want to sit in the parking lot talking to my phone, even though you guys are all so lovely, and I love your faces. So 90% of 100K, 90,000. Today's inflationary, crazy ass market, you are making 10% on your investments. One more year. Now you've got 99,000. 99,000. You got $1,000 left to get your 100K. That is, well, that's different for a lot of different people. That means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What is $1,000 to you? Is it a lot of money? Is it a little bit of money? Is it half a month's pay? Is it half a week's pay? Is it 1 week's pay or 2 weeks' pay? Is $1,000 skipping certain things at the grocery store for a while, or not buying something that you want to buy for just a little bit longer? Because that last $1,000 is going to be given to you in earnings, you know, your 10% of $100,000 every year for nothing. So can you marshmallow test yourself just enough at 99,000 to make it to 100? And that is all that I've got for you all today as I back into my parking spot. Very poorly, I might add. Well, we're not going to back in, we're just going to pull in up here. But hey, I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, send me some awesome suggestions for, like we talked today, any of the investment ideas that you want to talk about, that you want to put in your portfolio. If you think the Patreon idea is a good idea, if it is a good idea, would you pay $1 a month? Would you pay $5 a month? Would you pay $10 a month? What is that going to be worth to you to hear some thoughts about good and or bad picks for the week? And prepping. What do you guys have for prepping with baby? What do you guys have for that whole lifestyle? What would you recommend? Where should we go with it? What do you think about it? Food storage. Should we go down that route together? Do you guys want to see my bug out bag? I got it right back here. This is my get home bag. Yeah, it's right there, ready to go. Med kit on it and everything. So maybe we'll do a video going through that, going through mine and my spouse's, and going through what a bug out bag with baby in mind looks like. So keep it 100, make it to 100,000. Let's climb that hill, and I'm gonna go do some